Imagine you wake up on a Monday morning. Your alarm goes off, you drag yourself out of bed, sit through traffic, deal with a frustrating meeting, grab a sad desk lunch, and by the end of the day, you've earned maybe $180 after taxes. Now, imagine that on that same Monday, while you were doing all of that, a number in an account somewhere quietly ticked upward. You didn't do anything. You didn't show up, you didn't smile at anyone or answer a single email. But that number grew by $200, more than your entire day of work. Most people hear something like that and think, okay, that's for rich people. That's for people who already have a ton of money. That's not my life. But here's the thing. That crossover moment, the moment your investments start earning more than your job, isn't some fantasy reserved for the ultra-wealthy. It's a real financial milestone. And understanding how it works and what it actually means for your life might be the most important money concept nobody ever taught you. Here's how most of us were taught to think about money. You work, you get paid, you spend, maybe you save a little. Repeat until you're 65, then retire. That's the script. Work equals money. No work equals no money. It's simple, it's familiar, and for most people, it feels like the only option. And so we pour everything into our careers. We grind for raises, we chase promotions, we trade more hours for more dollars. Because in this model, the only way to earn more is to do more. But there's a second way money can be earned that most people either don't know about, ignore, or push off until someday. And the wild part? The people who figure this out early don't necessarily work harder. They just understand something different about how money actually moves. Let's talk about two kinds of income. The first kind is what almost everyone has. You trade your time for money. You show up, physically, mentally, digitally, and someone pays you for that. The moment you stop showing up, the money stops too. This is called active income. And there's nothing wrong with it. It's how most wealth building starts. The second kind is different. It's money that your money earns. You put some dollars to work in the stock market, in index funds, in real estate, in a business, and over time, those dollars generate returns without you lifting a finger. This is passive income. And more specifically, we're talking about investment returns. Now, here's the key concept that makes this whole thing click: compounding. Think of it like a snowball rolling down a hill. At first, it's tiny. It picks up a little snow, then a little more, but as it gets bigger, it picks up even more snow with each rotation. The bigger the snowball, the faster it grows. That's exactly how invested money works. Say you invest $10,000 and it earns 10% in a year. You now have $11,000. Next year, that $11,000 earns 10%. That's $1,100, not $1,000. The year after, you're earning returns on $12,100, and it keeps building, quietly, in the background, whether you're sleeping, working, or sitting in traffic. Now, let's put some real numbers to this, because the math is honestly kind of shocking when you see it. If someone starts investing $500 a month at age 25 into a diversified index fund that averages around 8% annual returns, which is historically reasonable, by the time they're 45, they have roughly $294,000 invested, and that portfolio is generating somewhere around $23,000 a year in returns. That's nearly $2,000 a month. And they didn't have to do anything extra to earn that $2,000. It just happened. Now compare that to someone who waited until 35 to start. Same contributions, same returns. By 45, they have around $110,000 invested, generating maybe $8,800 a year. Less than $750 a month. Same 10 years of saving. A massive difference in outcome. That's the power of time and compounding working together. But here's where psychology enters the picture. And this is where it gets really interesting. There's a reason most people don't do this, even when they know they should. Our brains are wired for the immediate. When you get a paycheck, you can feel it. You can spend it. There's a direct connection between your effort and your reward. It feels real. and it feels now. Investing? It's the opposite of that psychological hit. You take money you have today, send it somewhere you can't easily touch, and trust that some future version of you will benefit from it. There's no immediate dopamine, no instant confirmation, just a number on a screen that changes slowly over a long period of time. Psychologists call this hyperbolic discounting, the tendency to value rewards in the present way more than rewards in the future, even when the future reward is objectively much larger. It's why people know they should invest and still don't. It's why the "I'll start next year" mindset is so common. And it's why the gap between knowing and doing is so large when it comes to building wealth. There's also what behavioral economists call the labor illusion. We value money more when we feel like we worked for it. Money you earned from a tough week feels more real, more deserved than money that just appeared from a market return. So people subconsciously dismiss investment income as somehow less valid, less worthy of attention. But here's the reframe. Every dollar you earn at work and invest is hiring a tiny worker who works 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and never asks for a raise. That dollar doesn't get tired. It doesn't call in sick. It just keeps compounding. Now let's talk about what actually happens when your investments earn more than your job. It's not just a financial shift, it's a psychological one. When your portfolio generates more money than your salary, your relationship with work completely changes. Not because you have to quit, but because you no longer have to stay. This is what some people call financial optionality. It's the point at which your financial survival is no longer dependent on any single employer, any single job, or anyone else's decision to keep paying you. You have choices, real ones. You could take a lower-paying job you actually love. You could negotiate harder, knowing you don't desperately need the outcome to go your way. You could take a sabbatical, start something, walk away from something toxic. The investments don't just generate money, they generate freedom. And the interesting thing is, most people who reach this point don't actually quit working. Because work, when it's a choice instead of a necessity, feels completely different. Stress drops, creativity goes up. You start performing better, ironically, because the desperation is gone. Money psychology research consistently shows that financial security doesn't just reduce anxiety. It unlocks a version of you that's less reactive, more patient, and better at long-term thinking. And that affects every area of your life, not just your finances.
So what does this actually mean for you right now? The first shift is mental. Stop thinking of investing as something you do with the money left over after everything else. Start treating it as the first bill you pay every month. Automate it if you can. Make the decision once and let the system run. The second shift is about starting, not optimizing. A lot of people get paralyzed trying to find the perfect investment strategy. The truth is, a simple, low-cost index fund started today is worth exponentially more than a perfectly researched strategy started 5 years from now. Compounding rewards action. It punishes delay. The third shift is about widening the gap. The faster you can grow the distance between what you earn and what you spend, the faster you can invest the difference. That gap, the space between income and expenses, is the raw material that compounds over time. You don't need to be rich to start. You need to start to become financially free. Even $200 a month, invested consistently over 25 years at average market returns, grows to over $200,000. That portfolio, in year 25, is generating more than $1,300 a month, passively. That's not magic. That's math running on your behalf. Here's the thought I want to leave you with. There are two versions of the future. In one, you work until you have to stop because your body gives out, or you get laid off, or life interrupts, and you look back wondering where all the hours went. In the other version, somewhere along the way, your money started doing some of the work for you, quietly, patiently, compounding in the background while you lived your life. And at some point, You looked up and realized that you weren't just earning. You were building something that would outlast any single job, any single paycheck, any single chapter of your story. The crossover moment, when your investments earn more than your job, isn't the finish line. It's the moment the game changes. And the best part? The game has already started. The only question is whether you're playing.